Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking the Riverdale episode Fire Walk With Me. I was never really into Twin Peaks, but I have to give the show points for giving that little nod there. I thought for the most part this was a fairly solid episode. There's a lot of interesting stuff going around for everybody, so let's just kind of get right into it. The story with Archie and Ricky, now that I think was really interesting. It kind of does show that Archie, at the end of the day, is still, despite some of the messed up stuff he's done, still a very good person. And it sort of plays into that idea of, yeah, if you're a good person, if you kind of go out of your way to try to help other people, sometimes that's going to get you taken advantage of, in this case, almost stabbed. But that doesn't mean that you should stop doing that. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't stop trying to be good to other people, to be kind to them. Sure, it's sometimes that's going to get you taken advantage of. It's not going to always work out for you, but if you close that part of yourself off, if you only really think about you and what matters and like the handful of people that you care about, well, ultimately you're just going to become a selfish person. To sort of really maintain that true goodness in your heart, you have to be willing to do good for other people and not really expect anything in return. And I'm sure there are more than a few people out there who would utterly poo-poo that idea, but frankly, I think that's just a case of mistaking cynicism for wisdom. And yeah, cynicism doesn't make you wiser. Cynicism just makes you say no. And the world does not become a better place by people saying no. The world becomes a better place by people saying yes. People who say no don't do anything to make the world better. People who say yes to kindness and compassion, even if they get nothing in return, even if it might not work out for them. So yeah, if there's going to be any real hope for Ricky, it's going to be through that. For him really being willing to accept that genuine goodness and compassion that Archie was offering him. And the fact that, the Griffins and Gargoyles and all this other nonsense is going to do this to somebody who's like, what, 10 or 11 years old? That's pretty messed up, even given what we've seen so far on this show. The sorting out the integration of the ghoulies and the serpents, it's interesting, but they basically choose to use a total of like 3 guys from the ghoulies to do this, one of whom like speaks once the entire episode, and the other one is this guy who is just obviously completely and utterly batshit. I mean, that's some seriously nutso stuff. And the way they work it out with, basically the serpents are kind of going to be like, we're going to cooperate with the sheriff's department. This really doesn't seem like something that makes sense. I mean, and granted, FP is an ex-con who was convicted of helping cover up the murder of a teenager, and now he's the sheriff. Well, that doesn't make any goddamn sense either, so I guess we're just going to have to run with this. Brother. So the whole thing with Kevin. Okay. Now, granted, Kevin is, as Betty points out, kind of in a bad place emotionally right now, which of course makes him a prime target for cults. That's the same situation that her mom was. She was in a really bad place. These people swooped in and got their claws in her. His boyfriend has left town. His boyfriend's dad was arrested for being the phony Gargoyle King. Yeah, Kevin's not had a great time of it. But it just seems so incredibly abrupt. I mean, okay, your boyfriend left town and there was some messed up stuff that happened with his dad. All of this made a lot more sense when it happened to Alice. I mean, one of her daughters was already in this cult, and her husband was basically exposed as a serial killer. So yeah, I can understand why Alice, and if you'll pardon the joke, went down the rabbit hole so fast. Kevin's had a tough time of it, but geez, he's had it far worse, nowhere near as bad as Alice. Of course, tragedy and personal pain are all relative. Sure, nobody Kevin is related to has turned out to be a serial killer, but nonetheless, from the way Kevin's perspective, he's been through some really bad stuff, and nonetheless, even though it's not as dire as what's happened to Alice, it still left him in a pretty bad place emotionally. And being in a bad place emotionally is unfortunately nothing really new for Kevin. That's been going on since basically day one, with the occasional highlight here and there. Still, it did feel nonetheless very abrupt that he would become so incredibly hostile to Betty. And then when it looks like Betty's going to expose the cult, they basically come by, he and Kevin and Blondie, or whatever the hell her name is, I can't remember, say like, oh yeah, your mom told us everything, so if you rat us out to the cops, then, we're going to tell them about, your mom killing that guy and FP dissolving his body in the woods. And as much as these guys have their hooks in Alice, if they tell her, oh yeah, confess everything to the cops, she'll totally do that. And then Betty will have both of her parents in jail. And given that she's old enough, like she's probably at this point 17, there's a pretty good chance that she could be tried as an adult as an accessory. Never mind that, back to jail for FP, who is amazingly not on parole, I would assume, which also destroys, one of the good things that Jughead has in his life. So let's see. That leaves us with the whole thing with Veronica, where she's getting stepped on by both Gladys and Hiram, and eventually she kind of turns it around on them by basically saying like, hey, this is my place, you guys don't get to do what you do. And then I was really amazed that she didn't say to her father, okay, well, you've run up this big bill here, shave that off of what I owe you. He just says, oh, no, this is all comped. Like, I couldn't understand, like, why in the world did Veronica even stand there and take that? That makes no sense for her as a character. And that wasn't part of the deal. I mean, she even has to say, sister, Dad, I will pay you back the money I owe you as we agreed. So yeah, I mean, Hiram was obviously doing that just to sort of dig at Veronica, but still, yeah, the fact that she wouldn't stand up to him right then and there, that makes no sense to me. Now, her getting the Pretty Poisons to work as muscle at her club, that's kind of cool, that's kind of interesting. And this kind of feeds in a little bit more to what's going on with Tony and Cheryl's conflict. And once again, we get to see Cheryl, when Tony seems to be kind of pushing against her, push back. He's like, oh, well, my house is kind of the Poison's HQ. The girls really like it here because they can hang out in the pool. You don't want me having being a big part of this? Okay, then find somewhere else. She's putting conditions on something. She's putting conditions on something that's a part of their relationship. And this kind of feeds into exactly what was going on with Archie and Clifford back in season 1, And Cheryl even warned him, like, gifts from my dad come with strings attached. You'll take them, and then then he'll come to you and say, like, hey, if you don't do what I want, I'll take it away. And that's exactly what Cheryl is doing with Tony here. You want to have a club for the gang I gave you? Well, okay, then if you want to keep this place as their headquarters, then yeah, don't fight me on certain stuff. And yeah, I feel bad for Cheryl on the one front that she really doesn't see what it is she's doing, what she's becoming, or that she's in a lot of ways giving in to the worst aspects of being a Blossom. But then again, this is what she was raised to do. This is what she was raised around. This is her natural instinct. And she is utterly blind to how this is damaging her relationship with Tony, who is really the best thing she does have in her life. She, like a lot of people, like even myself sometimes, is really blind to the fact that she is the architect of her own problems. And this is going to blow up in Cheryl's face really badly. We're really heading towards the end of the season, and something's going to come to a head on that one. And I think that Tony's just going to say, you know what, enough of this bull. We're over. And where's that going to leave Cheryl then? Not in a good place, that's for sure. Yeah, guys, I think that covers everything that I had to say about this episode. So let's call it here. As always, please comment, rate, subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. And join me on Tumblr at Hoosier Jedi. I'm sorry, Jedi Reviewer. Until next time, take care and have a good one.